Good morning. Welcome to Morning Joe. He's here. Hey Joe, with Christina and Brooke. Today we're talking about balancing act question mark. Are we really balanced or are we just acting balanced? And what do you have to give up in order to fulfill your life's mission, to go for the gold? What are the things that you have to act like a hermit crab, bury your head in the sand, and get away from in order to keep it moving in the direction you want to go? So much here. There's so much.
Joe, I'm gonna let you get started on this one.
Uh, so our this is great because we literally agreed on this not even 90 seconds ago, but in those 90 seconds we had a great conversation about it where we started doing the thing that we always do, which is start having the show before we have the show. Where this came from for me is like I try to read as much as I can about like workplace culture and just the different ideas and themes that thought leaders are sharing and people who who set the trend for what CEOs and leaders do and stuff. And one of the things that comes up is just like this constant push to like, yo, you gotta hustle, you gotta have multiple like income streams, you gotta make sure you have your side thing, you gotta make sure, are you following your dreams, are you like right? It's just like super intense, which is fine, which is great.
You weren't up, now you are.
Right? I think I was channeling like my inner middle school, high school DMX.
I know.
So
My dog also loves it when you do that, Joe.
I think here's where I've arrived at that. It's that might be perfectly fine. Like there might be somebody listening to this who's like, yes, that's me. I have my goals. I have my dreams. I think I've come to embrace that's not me. That's not Joe. I come home from the job that I have now, right, which I love and I adore. I love who I work with. I love who I work for. I love what I get to do. But once I leave, like I want to go home and be 100% dad. I want to be 100% husband. I want to be like that. My entire life has been my priority, has been the type of person, the type of man, the type of human being that I want to be. And I've noticed that the side hustle, that the gig, right, the college and career, the EF, all this stuff is great, but it's taken me away from those things that deep down inside are the things that I care about most. No matter what article I read, no matter what infomercial I watch, no matter what whoever is feeding that into me, it's like, yo, that's great if that's you. But I've just come to kind of embrace more recently this last week that that's not me. And those side gigs got to go. Oh, you're a one income stream. Yeah, I have a job. That's what it's called. That's where I get paid. And that's where I do what I do. And I have the fortune of not having been born 100 years ago in a coal mining town where, hey, you're born in a coal mining town, you're going to be a coal miner. Dude,
Yeah.
I have the luxury of being able to do a job that I love, but that doesn't have to be more than that. Like that's sufficient. And that's
Yeah.
where the idea came from when we started talking about it.
Yeah. Is it okay if I interject real quick?
Please.
Because I have
Yeah.
so much that I want to share.
Yeah. I want to talk about a book I read that talked about that too. So we'll
No,
go, Brooke.
you talk about the book first, please.
Yeah, I cannot for the life of me think of the title or the author, but what I'm remembering from this book that I read probably 6 months ago is that the author admired her dad more than anyone, not because he was this great CEO, and the book I was reading was written by a great CEO, but what she remembered is that he gave up multiple promotions, CEO opportunities. Like he had everything it took to be those things that she became, but he chose to be home at 5 p.m. every day to have dinner, play ball in the yard, be present to study for spelling tests. Like she got to grow up with an amazing dad. And that was his commitment. That was his life's goal. That was his life's mission. That's what he lived for. And as a result, his legacy, his daughter remembers him for that and is just ever so grateful. But then she ended up becoming the CEO. And so it's this inner battle for her because she isn't the mother her father was. Like she's not home at 5 o'clock for dinner. She's not helping the kids with the spelling test. And so the book I was reading was talking about this struggle and like appreciation for her father and the life choices he made. So Joe, you just remind me of that so much. And if I think of who and what, I will share. But it's great.
Wow. Wow. So that's going to be the complete opposite of what I'm about to say. So I'm going to get real vulnerable here. So I really resonated with something that Sarah Blakely just posted on LinkedIn today. You know that she's the owner of Spanx, and her husband do very well for themselves. So the gist of what she said is for 2 decades, she was working super hard. She had no hobbies. She was 100% in on her company, right? She was, she had quoted, and I'm just going to read this. Edison said, success is 1% inspiration and 99 perspiration. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I just wanted to make sure I got that right. So it's just, it's what your priorities are, right? So the last month or so in my business, I'm just going to talk from a really vulnerable spot right now. I've been spending so much time working, right? So much time working. And it has affected a lot of my relationships. It's affected my relationship with my fiance, my relationship with my soon-to-be stepsons, my relationship with my family, because I'm not reaching out to them as much. And this is coming from a coach who teaches balance, right? So I'm going to get really vulnerable. So I was talking to my dad, who was a CEO of his own company. And I said, hey, Dad, I'm working really hard right now, so I don't have to work as much later. And he's like, yeah, well, I was saying that for 35 years until I didn't have to do that. So it just made me think. It made me really think about things.
Lifetime.
Yeah, it's a lifetime. So you have to really, if you want to spend time with your family, if you want to spend time with your friends, and if you want to have hobbies. Some people don't want to have hobbies, like Sarah Blakely. Someone in my 3C adult ADHD group the other day said, I don't have hobbies, I'm working. And I said, all right, if that's what you want, great. But yeah, it's time blocking that time with the people that you love and just putting everything else aside, because you are going to sacrifice something for something else, right?
And I think that works, that feeds in really well. Did I cut you off, Christina? I'm so sorry.
No, it was your turn. Go for it.
I think
I have
that
the begin with end in mind feel, but I'll go after you.
I think that feeds in perfectly into kind of the undercurrent of where all of our videos come from, which is like in a very judgment-free kind of way. It's like, hey, there's no advice here about that you need to do X, Y, or Z. Ultimately, you decide what X, Y, and Z is. It's making sure, constantly revisiting, constantly reflecting on, hey, are you just sure X, Y, and Z is the thing? You can get there. We can help you get there. We can help you get to X, Y, and Z. But constantly reflecting on, is that what you want? So there's nothing wrong in the person who's like, yo, in fact, I feel like we've already said this. Like we said this maybe recently. You want to be the CEO of a Fortune 500? Go for it. As long as you're cool with those trade-offs. And you saying, yes, I'm cool with those trade-offs. Okay, you're no better. You're no worse than anybody else. You're going after the thing that you're saying you want. And I think for me, it was just realizing like, yo, why am I running this rat race? I don't need that. It's not the value's no longer there. I'm not even sure the value ever was. It was just kind of going with there's an opportunity. I guess I'll take it. As opposed to like, no, being very intentional and mindful about
and
the thing that it is that we're trying to accomplish.
It's being mindful about what it is, understanding if it is aligned with your values.
Sit down and write down we don't have the answers. You have the answers, right? What's your life's mission? And map out your day and take a look and see, like, does this align with my life's mission? What are the percentage of items, the percentage of time that you're spending on items that don't pertain to your life's mission? If your life's mission is to be the most amazing father, but you're working 80 hours a week, hold on a second. We're out of balance there with that life's mission.
Yeah. And I find that to be so true, writing it down. Again, I'm going to get vulnerable for a second. I use Asana for a task management system. And guess what I put in there? The only things I put in there, like what aspect of my life? Just take a guess. Work, right? Yeah. So I come back to that daily, and then I reflect on it for an hour and a half with a business coach, to go through it and make sure I hit all my priorities, right?
Yeah.
So my fiance and I the other day were like, forget this. Like we're adding personal stuff to this. So
Absolutely.
now there's a whole separate folder in there for personal items because what you focus on grows.
Yep. Because you're a human and you need balance. My Peloton is on the top of my calendar every day, 5:30. Joe can see it. The whole world could, well, anyone in my organization can see
Yeah,
it.
part of the 5 a.m. club.
5 a.m. It works for me, and I've never felt more balanced, and I've never been able to handle things coming out of left field as well as I can when I get up early. I put myself first, get to work before everybody else except Joe. God. But that's okay because we're able to just go to our spaces and get our that headspace. I need that headspace to prioritize what I want to get through for the day. And then anything that walks through the door and gets thrown at me, I can catch it a lot better than if I don't have my things under control first. I can't catch anything. I'm throwing it all back. I can't catch. But I can catch if I have my own things under control.
Great.
Put the
So
Peloton on the bike. See you at 5:30. No?
So you're a huge believer of morning mindset and morning routine so you can take care of what you need before tackling the day.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're so right, though. I just learned that, Brooke. Like, put your personal stuff on your calendar.
Yeah, because if it's not, it doesn't exist. Whatever isn't on my calendar does not exist.
It's the first thing to go.
Yeah. So, yes. I guess it's time then.
Yeah. Balancing act, question mark. We have no answers.
And we're not acting.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the parentheses, and like I think the way you described it, Brooke, when we were first right before we jumped on, like, is it an act? Like, even if it's just an act to ourselves, like when we look at what the balance is, where our time is going, where our efforts and energies are, the hustle that we're putting into things, is it just an act, or is it really hustling and endeavoring for the things that we legit want,
Yeah,
like deep down inside, right?
love it.
Love you guys. You're awesome. Happy Sunday. Happy long weekend.
Yes.